I'm sick and tired of carrying all the weight. The coaches and owners not giving me the shit I need to win. Atlanta, you're fucking out. Kenny Powers is now a free agent. Find a bar and get shit-faced, huh? Get me paid, bitch! Superstar!
Well, there's something you need to know about, Kenny. You're not the only athlete here at Jeff Davis. I happen to be training for a triathlon right now, so doing a lot of running and cycling, swimming. Well, you know all about that.
No, actually, I don't. I play real sports. Not trying to be the best at exercising. Do with your money, don't fucking tell me what to do with mine, okay? And Cassie, do not stare at me with those dead eyes, you jerk bitch. Kenny! Instantly, I regret saying that. That was a horrible thing to say. It's just, I'm Kenny Powers, and I'm very upset with how I'm acting right now. But I'm not going to stop yelling, because then that'll mean I lost the fight. So please leave a key under the mat. I love y'all very much. Peace out.
My name is Mark Followill. You're listening to another dumb podcast. These guys are freaking morons.
Another dumb podcast. No, I like it. It's not dumb.
It's called Another Dumb Podcast.
That makes sense. So you could have just said, I'm doing another dumb podcast.
Yeah.
Again, basketball dumb guy over here. Sorry.
On the Dumb Podcast.
What do you expect for whatever the hell this is? I mean, you can just...
Yeah, I think as long as you're not... it's not edited where one person's answering someone's question before they even ask it. Because I've been a part of some of those before.
The heavily edited
edited
podcast. Yeah, it's a bad bit. Bad bit.
It's a hard listen.
It is. Okay. Well, I've already kind of started, but hello, Jay. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me and having me on. I've really been looking forward to this. The last 7 minutes since you said, are you still available?
Are you still there? Because I was like, oh, yeah. At 9:03, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to do a podcast tonight. My bad.
Yeah, you were still... probably had about a 15-minute more window before
I know. You're one of those guys, I go, okay, it's 9, and it's if I don't hit that point, you're like, I'm already in bed. I've already had my head, I took my sleeping pill or whatever you do. You're like, I'm not. Pretty much
that, or I was about to get into watching something, and once I started doing that, that would have been.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not.
That would have been it.
I'm not turning off the righteous gemstones for you, bud.
You know, I actually watched the recent season. I've only seen the first episode.
You know,
I just watched it the other night.
I know that I am a fan of Danny McBride.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, oh, yeah, I really do like him. And then he was on Matt and Shane's podcast just recently, like maybe in the last 2 or 3 months. And then I was like, oh, he's that dude, like, all the time.
Yeah. Oh, no. That makes sense.
But
he's
like
the same character in every show or movie. So
yeah, like, but he's not that far off. But like, I know he definitely, he's not, Kenny Powers, but he's like, you can tell he has like, it'd be really kick ass if I was this guy. Like he didn't watch Kenny Powers and goes, golly, man, that guy, kind of stinks. He's like, I kind of do want to be like Kenny Powers. I don't know. It's just a vibe. I don't know.
I bet that would make it easier just to live that life.
No doubt.
If that's truly who he is.
No doubt. But I actually went. So I didn't realize how. I got on a real righteous gemstones. I was like, I got to keep going. For some reason, I had stopped watching it after like the first I can't remember what season it was. And I was like, well, I don't know. I'm just not watching it. And then I go, you know what? I'm going to pick it back up. And now I'm like, glad I did. It's actually really good.
No, it's, yeah. I mean, some of it is so over the top ridiculous, but good satire.
No, I'm not like my wife watches movies. She goes, that's completely unrealistic. I'm like, we're watching Star Wars. I mean, like that. Yeah, it's not like No, it's not going to be really. We were never watching Star Wars. I was just trying to think of
the plot lines are so.
This could
No,
never
but I get what
happen.
you're saying. With the Gemstones, the plot lines are so over the top. Like maybe there is some church where they formed a group. They're going to go to all the adult film stores or novelty stores and just buy all the merchandise and be like, that's how we're going to put them out of business. We're going to buy everything there.
Isn't that then putting? Yeah, I know they were having a conundrum if that was actually keeping them in business more.
It was like the opening scene of the first episode.
Yeah.
That was great.
No, I think, I love the show. I think it's a really good show. So,
thumbs up.
And then I went so I finished. And so I was like, well, I would like to watch Kenny Powers again. Eastbound and Down. Sorry, I would call it the Kenny Powers show, but it's actually Eastbound and Down. The first season should be put in like a glass case of like, this is what comedy should be.
So, just recently, because I've never made my way through or beyond season 1 of that show. I think I'm like 3 or 4 episodes in, and this is probably the 3rd or 4th time I've started from the beginning, and I got through like 3 episodes. And before it was, I think the first time I watched it was when Netflix was still sending you DVDs in the mail.
Yeah.
And I ordered the first one and just never got to getting the second one sent to me. And then it's just, I've picked it back up, but I've never like advanced very far with it. So I'm going to try to do that. It's that one and the Gemstones are the 2 that I've got on my list right now to actually watch, to whatever's available.
And I might need to maybe revisit, was it Vice Principals? Which I think was...
Yeah, I like that too.
Which I didn't think was that bad. I just I don't remember how it ended or anything, but I just kind of stopped watching it. So I might jump into that one too.
It's only 2 seasons.
Yeah, I know.
I liked it.
Yeah.
But it's very, I think it's a unique type show. I don't think it's as, from an appeal standpoint, it doesn't have as much broad appeal as some of the other ones, but I liked it. When it was on those 2 years, I watched, like when the episode came out, like I was watching that night. Because it had him and Walton Goggins in it, and I thought it was great.
Yeah, no, again, I might be a fan of Danny McBride. Apparently, he's got like, and that's what I found out about the, when they did the podcast with Danny McBride, that he has like a production company out in North Carolina area. So that's where he does a lot of his filming. I guess I thought it stretched out in Georgia too, but apparently, he has a production company, and that's who basically does all those things. So, I mean, good for Danny McBride. He's probably the only one like really doing comedy in a way. I guess, have they not gotten to Danny McBride? Like, he's done some fucking crazy shit, and they're like, "Are we gonna cancel Danny McBride?" And he's like, "Nope, not allowed to."
Yeah, I wonder if it's just the whole thing is such a.
It's so over the. It's so it's so over the top, and it's like, this is ridiculous. It's not,
Yeah.
But it is. I mean, there's things in Eastbound and Down where I'm like, dude, that's fucking.
So I haven't gotten to those yet, but I'm sure I will know exactly what you're talking about.
They're so like, wow, I can't believe you said that. That's great. I'm not gonna say what they are, but it's just like, yeah, dude, that's. Right. I kind of like. I'm not saying like, oh man, just comedy's just not. Wait, what? It's just like saying something that is so over the top to just go like, damn, did you just say that? Is so foreign to us now. Whereas like that was what I was listening to back in like, like 06, 07, before I got all, hooked up and married. So, I was getting real wild with my comedy. Anything goes.
Well, and it's not just like individuals or stand-up, but I guess we were talking like how to get away with it is more character based in a show.
Yeah, no. It's just, I don't know. I just
But-
wish there was like, there's just not really, I mean, I hate to say it, there's just nobody's really trying to do anything truly funny because everybody's kind of, tiptoeing at edge. And it's like, oh, we got to do this, but we don't want to upset
Right.
these people. And we just got to have the right tone to where it kind of, I don't know. That's what
You think you ever get that Redskins sitcom that you're
dude, that I've been trying to
holding
get
out for?
The
You know what? That's not a bad start. There's the main character it's about other things, but the central beginning of the character is all he wants in life is for the Redskins to come back.
in like any shape or form. And so like every episode, it's like Gilligan's Island. He just on the verge of signing a deal that will bring back the Redskins to the hockey or something, or to anything. We get this restaurant deal. We're about to close it.
Yeah.
And then something falls through.
It's not. Let's bookmark this idea.
I'm about to
I think there's
say
something here.
we have it on audio, so if anybody does
Yeah.
bring something up like that, so I don't know. I guess before we do get fully going, we will dedicate this episode, which she would never care. I don't think she even knew that this podcast ever existed. For my dear grandmother who passed away last week, so we will definitely put that in for this one, which I believe Jay gave her the nickname of a warlock, I think is what you called her, because she had the she could never be taken down by anything. So
I know she'd been through so much based on the stories you had shared,
and
so
I've only shared like a few in there. Did I? There was one where she told me that it was just like random, like this is like not that long ago. She goes, "Yeah, when I was 11, like I was thrown from a car," and I go, "What? What do you mean thrown from a car?" It's like, "Yeah, I was and my brother got real hurt, and I think I hurt my leg or something like that." And I go, "Oh, so you just almost died, and I would never be here? Cool, good God!" Like, I don't know, man. People from that generation are just built so different.
Yeah,
I just think she's like the toughest lady, but also the kindest. I don't even know how that even exists, but that's the only thing I could say. So, and it's been a weird emotional week. I finally have now calmed down where I don't fully break down, and it's it sucks like to break down for a 93-year-old woman, and you're like, well, I mean, people have got to pass away. Like I'm like it's got to happen. But I was just like, I really liked her. So yeah, I think I really, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's part of life, but
yeah,
your reaction to it is also part of life. So there's nothing wrong with that. So she was in her 90s.
Yeah, she was 93. She turned 94, and she was going to turn 94 in October. So
Do you have other grandparents still around?
That's it.
That's
man. It.
So
that one, and this is the one. I'm not trying to brag. I'm not trying to hierarchy anybody, but she's one of my favorites. Absolutely,
well,
like top tier, my favorite. So, I mean, not to put anything against her husband. I don't know. Maybe just because she lived longer. But no, I had a really, and that's what the other thing was like. You're grieving with this, and you tell people, "Oh, it's my grandmother," and people are like, "Whatever, my grandmother died. It's not that big of a deal." They're like, "Yeah, but I was really close to her, so it definitely did tear me up pretty good." But I'm in a definite much better place this week, which I'm glad to be, because it sucked. I'm not gonna lie, it sucked. So
yeah, because even at a certain age, it becomes a matter of time in a lot of cases. But I know when my last grandparent passed away, it was expected. Got the news. It's like it was any day now type of thing.
Yeah.
So it didn't hit me immediately, and I think I was out of town at the time, and wherever we were at, walked out to the parking lot, and then all of a sudden it hit me that I don't have any grandparents anymore. And like I pretty much just kind of broke down for a little while there in the parking lot. Somebody was looking, there's some dude next to his car. And
Dude, I'm telling you,
he's really going through it.
That is so me. So I've been working out of town in Louisiana, and I was actually in town. I went to Fredericksburg for the weekend with another couple, which was a great time. I had a good time, and then I got the call as I was leaving that, hey, bad things. Okay. But I went to go see her, but she had not passed yet. But I had to go back out of town, so I was in a hotel. I think it was Monday, and I think she passed away Tuesday. And then, it was just like the inevitability of everything. And I'm literally, I was talking to a coworker. I was in the hotel lobby. I was talking to a coworker, and we were going over some things. And he like walked away. And then I called my parents, and then we were talking about stuff. And just a blubbering idiot in the middle of like the breakfast area in the hotel. And I'm just like, if anybody comes through here, just watching this grown man just absolutely blubber up. It was, it would have been, I would have been, what's this guy's deal?
Right.
But I was just, it was kind of funny. And I was just like, Lee, I gotta go somewhere. I can't be out here just absolutely losing it right here. But it is funny, and not funny, but it's crazy how I was telling my mom today, like, the guy who made that the grieving, what is that?
Whatever steps.
Yeah, the steps of grieving. It's all real. Yeah. That's all very real.
Is it a pyramid? Is that what it is? I don't know.
I don't know. Something like that, but it's like the
stages.
The stages of grief are so real and that's why you're so emotional, because there's just so many things going in your head, and it's like, oh, she's gone, and then you're set. It's like everything. So, I kind of actually, I hope Dustin will appreciate this, but I kind of actually felt bad after I'm going through all this. I'm like, I shouldn't have given Dustin such a hard time about his dad when his dad passed away. But I also try to do it in a way of like, it's you try to make as light as you can, just because people are really sad. Like the first thing that ever comes up when anyone passes away, what do we all say? We all ask, well, what is going to happen to her fantasy team? So,
I think that's just our way of expressing our condolences and concern without actually saying it.
That's literally, I feel like somebody is going to eventually put something in a funeral book of like, she was a lovely woman, and I hope whoever takes care of her fantasy team sends them to the championship or something. I don't know.
Like, this is week 7, and her quarterback is on a bye, so somebody's going to need to get in there. Phil has been appointed to do that.
Let the wide receiver did get injured, so we're really going to need to shuffle someone else in there. I just didn't know if anybody saw that. I know you're going through things. So
this is what she would have wanted.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Well, I'm sorry to hear that news.
Yeah, well, I appreciate y'all's very kind words in the chat. I kind of needed that, and my good friend Jacob said nothing to me, so that was fun. So I don't know where he was at. I don't know.
He's busy.
He's a busy man. So I'm not gonna hold that to it. But it's just like, oh, he didn't say anything. Oh, okay, cool. All right. Let's get into a quick. I did have a few notes, so I will say that.
Okay.
Can I tease one? I'm gonna tease a topic, so maybe somebody will keep listening.
We're teasing stuff now. Okay.
Dude, the evolution of podcasting here. I want to know about your kids fighting.
Is that the tease, or that's just what you want to know now?
No. I don't want to know now. I just want to know about your kids fighting. Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we can. It's brief, but yeah, we can go through that.
We'll have to expound upon other things here. So, because I do have either my personal story with, I grew up with a brother, and then how I deal with daughters who.
Oh, okay.
So, I guess we could quickly. I don't know if it's like I've been trying to do the podcast for a little while, but again, every time something changes, and again, my grandmother passes away, I'm like, I don't really think I want a podcast right now. Even how great or how big the news is going on with Dan and Jake, and I'm almost. I think this might be the last time I talk about it, unless there's actually some real bigger news. But yeah, the Dan and Jake saga and everything. And I was listening to the podcast coming back from Fredericksburg of those dudes. What are they? What's their podcast name that Dan McDowell did with them? Dad something. Super Dads? I don't know what it's called.
Human Dads.
Human Dads. Who does that
Human
podcast?
Dads,
Who does that podcast?
Rylan, Brad, and Jason.
Like a baseball dude, Jason?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, and they have their own Brad, so that's interesting.
Yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah,
I think you have to have one.
It's just a have to have. So, I will say, besides my podcast with Dan McDowell, I would say this one was pretty illuminating. I don't know if you got.
Yeah, I think he's pretty.
I didn't.
No,
you did
I
listen to it.
It's he's pretty open and honest with them about whatever they wanted to ask or talk about.
Yeah,
didn't dodge anything.
No, he didn't dodge anything, and I was pretty. I could tell you, I was quite shocked because the podcast, which has been re-released, which I realized after we were on the last podcast that I had a bunch of podcasts that were either taken off. I'm not sure exactly how that happened, but they were just not in the iTunes and whatever. But I just re-released them. There was like some Kevin Turner and Mark Falwell and other. I'll leave the Shelley. I feel like freaking Walt Disney, like sending these podcasts into the vault. I might take them back away, so y'all need to listen.
It's only available for 30 days.
You better listen to the Dan McDowell one because I might take it back. Okay, so just saying. But I felt like I got him to really open up on some of those things about the contract talks. And he illuminated. He not illuminated. He let on that the money that he was going to get from that deal, he could have paid off the house. And I guess that didn't really click on me beforehand, but I'm like, okay, well, I mean, that seems significant, you know? I mean, I don't know how much is left on your house payment, but mine, I mean, that'd be pretty significant, right?
Yeah, I think it was at least 100, 150 grand a year.
Yeah,
more that he turned down. But the idea was it was a shorter term contract, so it's like a 2 or 3 year increase in money grab, and not knowing, okay, 2 years from now, does the station even exist anymore?
Yeah,
if this doesn't go well,
I wanted to
as opposed to longevity,
which I wanted to talk upon. Number one, I think maybe Dan may not have like the best memory, but when this happened, and forgive me, I believe it's 11 years ago, 2012.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
2012. At that point, you're right. I think they were probably, if they were at 5 years, I think they may have been like 6 or 7. I remember the fans starting around, I thought 08, 09, maybe a little bit before that.
Well, when they went to that format, did they hire Grego right away?
No.
Okay, so they had been, because Grego was on the ticket till 07, so because he started there around like 09.
Mm-hmm. Grego didn't come back until Grego was. I mean, he was only a year long, right?
Maybe a couple, and he had a short stint at ESPN.
Yeah,
either before or after that too. But
they were there. They had the Cowboys, and here's the difference. And you can see now. I mean, really, the ratings for their sports radio really doesn't matter. They're not going anywhere. They've kept up with RJ and Sean, or Sean and RJ. Sorry. That show has been on there for. I mean, it seems like they just got in town. I'm like, well, they've been there almost 10 years now.
Yeah.
It seems like. Obviously, Ben and Skin left, but G-Bag Nation, I think that's been on there almost 10 years, maybe like 8.
Is that still a thing?
That's still a thing, but it's the shuffling has happened with Gavin's still there, but they have that other Old Man River, I forget his name, and they added like some night guys, some guys that were on a night crew. And, he was actually a guy who was trying to sell me a truck one time. I'd heard Jeff Kavanaugh was like, "Hey, this one guy? He works nights. He does the night radio show. He sells trucks during the day, or vehicles during the day." And now he's like, Eric, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
So there's pretty much been, because that was the thing with the fan. Probably whenever Bob and Dan were going through it, is there was a little bit of a shuffling. Ben and Skin were coming through. Then there used to be like Newey Scruggs and what's his name, Sean Salisbury. You remember that? They kind of did have a little bit of a shuffle, but as you see now, man, they're pretty stable. Not a show I would listen to, but there are people that listen. I mean, you have to admit. I mean, we all run into our friends who go, "Oh man, I love sports radio. I always listen to the fan." I'm like, "All right, cool, good for you." Like, all right. So there is that tendency. They may not just ring in ratings, but they haven't good enough ratings that their people are happy
to exist.
Their ratings do exist. Sure. So I think they probably would have been fine with it. And here's where I think is a little weird too. They went with a longer term contract because the heartburn that they got from the last one. Like they're like, I don't want to go through this every 2 years. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how much you are into like the radio industry, and I'm not really into it either. But like Opie and Anthony, I don't know if remember them back.
I know
in the day.
they are.
Yeah,
I never really listened to them, but
yeah, and I'd always. Like Opie was actually like the business guy of the group, and Anthony was like, I don't know, I'll just go along with whatever you want to do. And Opie would always do 2-year deals. Like, just always. Just so you can just always renegotiate for a higher pay.
Sure.
Just so you're keeping up on it. And it makes sense, but again, then you have to, pretend to walk. I don't know what you do. Like, we're leaving. No, this time, really, we're leaving.
Well, you also can't coast it all. You only got 2-year deals. You got a 5-10 year deal. You can spend some time just kind of mailing it in, because especially if it's guaranteed.
Yeah, well, that's true. So you're telling me that the player plays for incentives? All right.
It all adds up.
It all adds up. Well, I don't know. I still don't think. I get it. They didn't want to do it. I completely agree. It kind of sucks though, because like you're almost telling like guys, y'all gotta take these bigger deals, or y'all gotta come together and get these bigger deals, because like I really think you're like almost hurting the industry when you do things like this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense.
Because
then somebody can point to whoever and say, well, why are we're in negotiations with you? Why are we going to pay you this when there's these guys over here that took less money last year or 2 years ago?
And their ratings are this,
right? And
our ratings are that.
Works the same, they talk about that in sports all the time.
Yeah.
They don't want someone who wants to take one for the team, or do the team a favor. The players union doesn't want to do it because they'll be used as the example of, well, that star player, he's only playing for $10 million a year. Mm-hmm. Why do you want 25? So it works the same there too.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think I'm not saying again, they did it, I don't know. I'm kind of pointing out that, hey, you probably should have just taken the money, and you do good radio. So it's like either the fan takes you, or, I mean, I think there's still, opportunities for guys like that. Like, I mean, I don't know.
It is.
Go
That
ahead.
is like the an alternate timeline that
Oh, I
I would
know.
like to see how that would have played out.
No doubt.
Like where they would they kept them middays? Would they put them in drive time? Would it have just basically split the listenership between the two stations, at least for part of the day? Would anybody else have followed them over there
Yeah.
over time? Or the opposite is kind of why they didn't go and what they feared. Would it have been 2 years later? Hey, we paid you all this money. We're not really making enough to keep paying you that.
That
and
is
actually,
that is true.
we can survive just being kind of like almost not a small market radio station, but take that approach.
Did you know
We
that
can
we
just
could
kinda play
probably? Did you know we could
mid-talent.
probably survive just with Gavin Dawson and whoever the else goofballs we want to put in here? Like no
And
one
they
cares.
and they have.
They have. So
But-
it
but
actually
they-
worked out for them.
They have to have just a committed base of listeners that's what they're into, and because I don't know anybody who listens to that station.
Really? Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
not
like
even
even
just
coworkers
a
or
little
anything.
bit. No,
Yeah.
like
'Cause
I never hear anyone mention it, refer to it, except for maybe somebody says I was listening to the Cowboys game on the radio, but
Yeah.
that's not. You're just going to wherever it's at. It could be on anything.
I do hang out with the younger crowd, so I mean,
That could be. Hey, that could be it.
I just want to say that. Well, speaking of the younger crowd, Matt McLaren is now on the thing. He's now a host at the Ticket.
He is.
He indeed.
Indeed.
Is. I was just before we got on, I was listening to dude, I wish this clip thing would work. I think it doesn't work on your side. If I try to share my screen.
I don't know if it will or not, especially with, I'm just on my phone.
Oh yeah. Let's see if it works because it was funny. Yeah, this one. Let's see if it works.
Oh,
Can you see it?
I see a nice desktop there.
There's the desktop. Can you see me click this?
I see
Also on
the mouse is moving.
Can you hear
the
anything?
testimony, he had a
No.
quote.
Okay. Hold on.
Improper
I'm gonna try
physical
one more
relationship
thing and then we'll.
with intern
Oh God.
Monica Lewinsky.
Stop. Freaking idiot. Jeez.
Is that where you vacation? Is that where your background is there? Is that sandals?
No, it's
Antigua?
like it's like the generic whatever the hell that they put on here. The sandals. I was like, I saw that the other day. I was like, Stove was vacationing. I'm like, you literally go to sandals.
Who's that sandals hedonism? Probably.
You literally go to. Can you see this now?
I can see the desktop again.
Can you not see the ticket? Can you hear anything yet?
No, not at
Good
all.
for him.
Can you hear this?
He did not have sexual relations.
I
did not have.
No, you're gonna need to cut all this out.
This is a waste of time. I hope we got our own e-break for the day here because, wow, what a dude. You know
So
what?
if
Boo
you-
Skype. Fuck Skype right now.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
I'll put it in the end, but it was basically they're doing why today doesn't suck and talking about the Monica Lewinsky Bill Clinton thing. And it's like,
Okay.
well, good for him. And then Matt McLaren says, I mean, what do you do? Give him a high five? I mean, what do and it's like, yeah, you would think that, bud. And they just replay it. I wonder if I can play it on my.
Have you listened much since the whole revamp of the lineup and all that?
I have not.
Bill Clinton admitted
Okay.
in a tape
Can you hear that?
testimony he had a quote. improper physical relationship with intern Monica Lewinsky.
Good for him. But he did not have sexual relations.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Seriously, we look at that totally different now, right?
Do we?
Yeah, well.
Like kind of high five?
Well, you did just say good for him.
Wait, he didn't pay her, and she wasn't a porn star.
Right.
Well, it's still adultery.
Just a woman that he worked with.
That's true.
An intern's not really a colleague.
He just went out in the hallway and said, well, you. He doesn't have a colleague. He's the president.
He got her a book or something.
He did.
Took her to dinner. Do we?
Yeah, well.
Like kind of high five?
Well, you did.
Do we?
Yeah, well.
Like kind of high five?
Well, you did.
Do we?
Yeah, well.
Like kind of high five?
Well, you did.
Do we?
Props to best radio clips, Ronald Carpenter, for that. Yeah, I don't know, dude. Share your thoughts of Matt McLaren.
I think he's I think he's kind of trying to find his place a little bit.
Yeah.
He subbed in today with the hard line because Bob was out, and one thing I noticed that it seems like he's kind of sitting back and kind of letting the game come to him. At least what I listened to today, he can't do that as much when it's just him and Donovan, but I don't think he's trying. I don't think he's trying too hard, but I probably also haven't listened enough to have a real big opinion on it.
I mean, honestly, if he's gotten any better since the what was that, the Soul Patch or whatever the hell that shit used to be. Well, that was the other, but like whatever that.
It was jam session, right?
Yeah, but
it was.
Yeah, it was originally Soul Patch, and he's like, dude, I don't have a Soul Patch because he did the show with
that other dude. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, John Jock, and then there was another guy, but yeah, I don't know. He's always been just generic spare guy, and again, he did the right thing. He definitely was like, I'm not getting a spot here, so definitely go to Birmingham, and it'll work out better for me. But yeah, dude, he's crazy spare. He has I've not heard anything from him that's, wow, man, I really want to hear it. That's the whole part of a lot of this stuff is like, am I just begging to hear what Matt McLaren's going to say on the radio? Like, what is he going to say about this? Like, I feel that about right now who work for the ticket. I feel that about two people that work on that station. I think about that about Bob on certain circumstances with like the Cowboys. Like, man, I really want to hear what Bob has to say on this because of how screwed up this is.
That's fair.
And then Gordo. But
about just whatever.
Just about, and then like, what would he say? Like, I think he's going to say something funny about this. Does that make sense?
No, I think I think that makes perfect sense.
And I think that's what made a lot of those guys popular. Norm had that following. It's just like, I want to hear what Norm's got to say about all this. And then, Bob and Dan, that was just always the thing. And I think Jake kind of, in his short amount of time that he was there, man, as an actual host, I know he's been there for longer, but people were like, dude, I got to hear what Jake's going to dissect this, and I want to hear what he's going to say.
Yeah, he became one of those people.
Yeah.
Like, he obviously wasn't at the beginning, or even when he just started as just in a producer role, he wasn't. But over time, he became that guy on the station. So, I don't know. Give McLaren some more time. What's it been, 3 weeks?
Yeah, but I don't think I'll... And I don't know. I apologize. I can't remember what all I'm trying to do this in chronological order. I literally just. I only segued to this because of that little line that I got from McLaren. So I didn't.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of jumping around a little bit. I was man, trying to going back to everything. Like, everything was announced. I'm telling you that the Musers morning thing where they announced that Dan and Jake were no longer on the station was the weirdest shit I've ever heard in my life. It was crazy bizarre. I've never heard anything where it's like, well, they're gone, we're gonna miss them, we're gonna kick the competition's ass, and you're just like, all right, dude, I don't think this is the right time for this. Like, I don't know. And I found it to be kind of disgusting that you're still like reaching, oh, we thought you were going to be done a year ago. And I'm like, did someone say that?
Yeah, it was George went on kind of a bit of a rant.
Yeah.
On that. And it was the whole, there are these changes, people are leaving, this, that, or the other. And I mean, they see the comments online and they get emails. I'm sure they get a lot of, this is the end. We knew this was happening. The station's dying. You know it. That type of thing. And I think he just had a response to that of, hey, their money, I don't know money-wise, but ratings-wise, they're doing as good, maybe even better than they have before. And other changes haven't done anything. And people have been saying that for years, that, hey, the ticket's dying, it's obvious. I'm like, I don't know. It seems to be okay to me.
No, and I think it is. And I think, again, they're still going to be successful. I don't think until I think they have enough infrastructure that literally they're going to be fine regardless. They have a huge backer in Cumulus. They're, other than not paying fucking dick for anybody besides a host, which even a host, I'm sure they're the new guy. This is where it's like, as a radio station you're running, it's like, dude, yeah, we'll go. Dude, we're going to pay someone way cheaper to do what you're doing.
Right.
I mean, it makes...
That's the whole, unless they're like unionized or something.
Or they're literally,
change anything.
Or they really feel like there is a, this is going to be too much of a pain in the ass. We just could pay them whatever that is. But they didn't feel that. They feel like, okay, put Mino in and put Sean Bass and I don't really want to. I think a lot of people have a lot of comments towards Sean. I think it's been kind of quiet on Mino. I think everybody kind of really likes Mino, but again, Mino's. I'm not clamoring to hear like, oh man, what's Mino gonna say about this thing? He's just a nice guy and he doesn't talk out of his ass or anything, so that's cool. But like, a lot of people are really angry about Sean Bass, and I can understand it. But dude, I mean, it's just the way it's just the way it is, man. It's you're there that long. He's definitely he can do the job. It's just some people just don't. I think it's like a personality thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure if he was gonna want that, because I thought he was producing the one show, but I thought he had more stepped into the the administrative managerial type role within the company or within the station, and I didn't think he was interested in being a full-time day-to-day host. But yeah, he's been there
for a long time.
15 20 years almost.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember, and maybe you probably can. My recollection of like the ticket, like before like 05 is very hazy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just for me, and I think he may have not been there at that time, but like when I was really listening around like 06 and on, Sean Bass has always been there for me, at least. Yeah.
He's probably got 15 years.
Maybe
more.
It
seems we're talking about the fan. The tickets 10 to 3 seems to be kind of just on the same level of that competition.
Yeah.
And just the same kind of the not really polarizing outside of going to prom when you're 30, but not really polarizing personalities. They're not really going to say anything. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe they said that. It's just, this is the brand, this is the station that I listen to, and these guys are on it, and it's easy for me to just kind of have it on in the background.
No,
and that's what I'm used to listening to.
I absolutely get it, and I really do get that, and it's I mean, I'm sure they were okay with maybe driving all the way to Pittsburgh for sex and, you know, all that. But, you know, I don't know. I was trying to fork that in some way, and I couldn't exactly land that. But
That guy,
he's a weird dude, man.
he is not. His fan base is certainly not online, or it's certainly not via Twitter or X or whatever it's called these days.
Yeah,
that's not where his fans are.
Well, and on top of that, so I mean, in this whole lawsuit thing, it's. I think it can be. Man, I feel like I'm going all over the place, but I kind of would just like. I really hope that this is important and long term for like precedent is a real thing. Like it's, you know, this is it's a good thing to have, and there's been precedent when people have been inside their non-competes and they have side things and they're able to do it. And you know, here's what really kind of chaps my ass about some of this stuff. I don't think a lot of those guys are bad over at the ticket. I think they're pretty spineless. They don't have, you know, that type of like, you know, listen here, we are the dudes and this is the way it's going to be. Right. I think they get along to go along. They're just, you know, happy to have that whole thing. But I'm telling you right now, and I'm not sure exactly how, like, producers are important at times, and I think they've definitely developed those things, but I know some of them actually, you know, like, management themselves, like, they're like, I don't really understand this whole thing. But, you know, in that podcast with Dan, they really, you know, were talking about how, like, man, there is quite a bit of difference whenever, like, a Jer's out on vacation or if Groobs or anybody was not there, that there was a total, you know, difference in those jobs, and those guys were important in a way, and they kind of felt, you know, I know, you know, Mino and even Jake did really well. I think Jake being who he was as far as a fan of the station, like,
certainly helped.
That definitely helps. But like, if you don't understand the vibe, and I don't know that DJ guy, that DJ, I've heard he does really well too. But I mean, you know, I think it's not something that just any slapdick can go in there and do. And for those hosts, and then this is where I kind of like, I went back and listened to that Mike Soroy and Gordo Twitch.
Okay.
From about a year ago. It was well over a year ago now.
Yeah. Last summer. Yeah.
Yeah, and I re-listened to part of it, and it that really changed my complete. And I was kind of piecing a whole lot of things different from different podcasts. So I was listening to one podcast, the one with Akash and the Dumb Zone, and they were talking about how the whole, you know, they were gonna furlough and all sorts of shit, and they were like, no, like, we will defer some here, and then, you know, we will, you know, we'll defer our money, make sure these people get paid. And apparently, like, the Musers were not about that. They were not okay with that, I guess. And I don't know exactly the whole thing. And in that Twitch, it was said straight to Gordo's face. And then on top of that, you know, going, you know, about Jer's pay. He's like, well, how am I supposed to know what Jer's getting paid? And I go, hey, dipshit, like, this is your fucking show. You know, these are your people around here. You are the freaking headliner. You know, everybody's there to see you. These are your supporting cast. Wouldn't it be nice? You know how good you're being taken care of. You need to take care of those people. you know, and I felt that was so just like, wow, motherfuckers. Like I could not believe, and maybe I'm being a little emotional about it, but it's just like, I heard that last year. I remember it and I go, God damn, dude. Like, and I remember when I think we talked about it last year, you know, how you were talking about how Pat McAfee was, you know, when they got their big FanDuel deal, what did they do? You know, they spread it completely around. Are you there?
Still here.
Okay,
You got
sorry,
me?
you were fumbling around. I was making sure you didn't fall
Oh.
over or something.
No. I'm literally sitting here being still.
Okay, no, well, you'll hear it on post, but
I have no idea what that was.
okay, it's fine. But regardless, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you share your thoughts. I've ranted enough on that, but
No, I remember Gordon's comment on that and having the same thought then I did now is, what do you mean? How would you possibly know what GR makes? Like, we know because not maybe he didn't. I mean, I think he specifically has commented about it in other places, or other people in a similar role have on the air or in other, you know, podcasts or whatever that they're on have shared. Like, yeah, this is not a huge paying gig. I can produce a role, I can do appearances, and I can do all this, and I can hustle, and if I do everything, I can bring in like 40 grand a year. Like,
yeah,
several of them have said stuff like that, so they know
yeah,
what they're making. That's, yeah, I'm not buying that.
yeah, and someone who I was actually wanting to have on the podcast, who man, I'm telling you right now, he is fired up. Is our good friend Jerry.
Okay.
Jerry Elliott.
Yeah.
He, you know, owner of all bars and stuff. I think, and I can remember now, that he really helped out with Groobs. I mean, we all love Groobs. I don't know if you've met him or not, but I mean, I know him. I have a fairly close relationship. I say that.
Okay.
He likes my Instagram posts. So that counts, right?
That counts a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty deep. I mean, we're basically dating. But but he really helped out with the appearances and like tried to get him as much, you know, give him something, you know. Whereas everybody else is just like, oh, you know, if we lose Grooves, we lose Grooves. We just keep on chucking along.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, and I guess I would like to talk to Grooves about this one day. But, you know, I don't know, dude. I just think it's kind of shitty. And I think if you have that pull and be like, listen, you know, basically, we're not going on air. Like, you get there at 5:30 in the morning and be like, we're not going on air. What do you mean you're not going on air? Yeah, we're not going on air all day till these wages.
Yeah, so these people are taken care of.
Yeah, I'm not saying they need to be like making six figures, but fuck, man, these people can't even have families. They got to have, you know, basically side jobs.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's fucking ridiculous. You know, and it's, you know, okay, maybe there's not enough money. I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but I would try for something.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think it's all on them to get it taken care of, but it almost seems like there's not much effort at all.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know. I looked around and no one was saying that we should pay them more, so I just stopped.
Right.
I was like, okay,
Right.
well, I guess we'll just stop now. I don't know. Yeah, it kind of fired me up, but I you know, for Dan and Jake, I have to tell you, man, fucking great guys. I'm to go off and do something like that, and they just realize, yeah, dude. I mean, this is ridiculous. That I think a lot of in their pay, they're like, hey, the guys who work with us, they need to be making more money, you know. And I think I don't know. I just think if you have a big popular station, you know, where's the money at?
Yeah,
there's no money there.
It's going somewhere, but you know that always filters primarily to the top.
For sure. And they got to make their cut.
Whatever the top is, yeah.
I get it. You got to make. I mean, I understand the corporate structure, and so do you. But, geez, bro, like, you know. But if you band together, or I mean, take the show on the road. I mean, I don't know. I would definitely try to get in a better situation, but hey, you know what? Some people have other. They don't feel like it's their place. I guess I don't know what that shit is. You know.
Well, that some people just very, avoidance of conflict at all
Yes,
costs.
absolutely.
Don't rock the boat. That type of thing. And then if you're just using like the morning show as the example, probably also needs to be a united front there. If you get those three guys, probably can't have one of them that's really taking up the cause and the other two sitting back. It'd have to be all three of them all on the same page.
It would have to be a full united front for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, but
it didn't happen.
I have to say, I think this all started from my bitterness for whenever Craig Miller said Shelley Luther should be locked up. I think that's what
taking it all the way back to May of 2020.
Yes, I go. Listen here, bro. Hey, turns out Shelley Luther was right. Even if she was, it's funny. She's not the crazy one anymore. It's that other lady who on the plane. So
yeah, whatever.
Took her title.
Gomez?
yeah, Tiffany Gomez.
Yeah.
So we'll get her. We'll get her on the pod.
In?
I don't think Yeah, you said in. I'm Sue in. I don't know. If anybody knows, it sounds like we can't get her. It seems like she's like the most elusive.
I don't think
interview ever.
I don't think she's interested in that. So, but yeah, the going against the grain and keeping the salon open was the one thing Shelley was able to win, because everything she ran for after that was huge L.
She definitely did not branch her career after that one.
No, I mean it seemed like it was this is just a launching pad. She couldn't even win like the Pilot Point City Council.
Yeah. Well, but she is a friend of mine, so I don't know. Just saying.
You tell her I said she's not that great.
I don't know. She was very nice to me, so that's all I'm going to say.
No, I remember listening to that.
She was very nice to me, so I greatly appreciated her. All right. Let's end on kids fighting. Can you please explain to me the MMA fight that you had to break up at your home?
Okay. So 2 boys.
What are these ages? I need full sizes and everything. Like
10 and 8.
10 and 8. Okay, so they're still.
But it's also, say a 10-year-old that's probably always been in the highest quartile when it comes to height and stuff.
Yeah.
And the 8-year-old is kind of the opposite. He's at some point in time his growing will catch up.
It's just not there.
He's behind the curve a little bit. The older one's ahead of the curve. So it's a David and Goliath type matchup.
Hey man, I'm all about it.
But the younger one is very, very feisty. And so, they're brothers. They argue about stuff. It may be something that's important. It may be something most of the time it's not important at all. And we've kind of gotten to the point of you just need to settle. You got to settle your differences between the two of you. I'm not going to referee this stuff. We're not going to referee this stuff forever. Like, you got to just figure it out. And they've had a lot of times where they get mad at each other, and it's like they're gonna do something, and I'm just like, I just don't want to hear it anymore. So if you're gonna fight each other, fight each other. So no, this was the other day, and things escalated, and I was in where I work from home. I was in that room, and across the way is the dining room, and all of a sudden they're squaring up and they're going after it. And we're just sitting on both sides of it, just watching for, it was probably 10, 20 seconds at the most.
Right.
But it felt like a full 2-minute Rocky montage. And I think the older one connected with a punch right in the younger one's throat,
My god!
he got knocked back, but he got knocked back on his heels. But then he came back for more.
Yeah.
But then it wasn't going to go his way, so we had to break it up. We don't want anybody to get hurt, and then we settled things from there. But I mean, it was basically like if Rocky and Drago had fought, but they had thrown the towel like halfway through the first round. That's basically what happened. So, but it was that nothing like that had ever occurred to that extent between those two before. So it was a sight to behold. I know we've got more of it coming.
You're like, yes.
Like eventually, if they keep going at it, I'll have to just buy some gloves and
I
be
think
like,
maybe that would be. I don't know. Is that enough? Because you know how like dudes who fight in UFC, like they're like, man, screw you, I'm gonna f you up, da 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 da, and then they do this whole fight thing. What do they do at the end of every fight? Well, nearly every fight. They all go at the end, man, dude,
hug each other.
mad respect, bro. Like, oh man. So I don't know. From what I've heard from Kamaru, like you really do like when you're in a fight and you feel one another like really bang each other up. You go, all right, I get you. Like there is a manner of respect there.
I think unless there's just a pure existing dislike or hatred between the two,
that would then not be a good idea. But sometimes you get those frustrations. You got to get them out, bro.
Yeah, I think there's respect. I mean, even I don't know if you watched the Errol Spence fight a few weeks ago.
I didn't.
And he just got
he got wrecked.
Oh, the whole thing. But the other, I forgot. Was it
the one guy was
Crawford?
the one guy was like a Lamborghini.
Yeah, but he rolled all over him. but after the fight, I mean, the guy that dominated the whole thing had nothing but respectful things to say about Spence. Like he's great. I mean, I got him tonight, but he's a great fighter. He's going to do great things. I don't have anything bad to say about him at all.
I was trying to look up Wreck.
Oh, that's out there.
Oh, no, it was what did I say? Did I say Ferrari?
Was it a Ferrari or a Lamborghini? You said Lamborghini.
Okay, it's a Ferrari. I apologize.
Either way.
I apologize.
Wasn't it a white one and he's driving and all of a sudden you just see this thing fishtail and it just rolls like 4 times?
Dude, that some bitch is lucky to be alive though. He got ejected from that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was he on? Like 635 or something?
I don't remember. Was it on the freeway or was it just on like
it looked like it was on the freeway.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways.
Shout out to Errol Spence.
Yeah, Errol Spence. He's, again, lucky to be alive. Here's what I'll say is my perspective on that. Yeah, I think you're doing fairly well. You don't want to go throwing down all right, guys, whatever happens in Fight Club, you don't, nothing like that. But like sometimes you just got to step back. Let these guys, whereas, for me personally, I have a brother, but he's 5 years older than me. And that was a tough hill to climb. You want to talk David and Goliath, 8 and 10, I would have begged for 8 to 10 to where I had a fighting chance.
Right.
I mean, literally, I don't know. If I'm 80 years old, I might try to fucking knock that motherfucker out. Just as he's gonna listen to this too. He's gonna find it funny, but like, just because now he is 40. He's 40 years old.
Yeah.
And I still don't feel confident at all. Like at just going at him. No, I don't feel good about it. Yeah. But I feel like maybe at 80, I might be able to kick his fucking cane down and be like, "This is for this one, motherfucker." Like this is, I would be totally down, and I would pay for all expenses that I would, any damage that I'd get, but it'd be all worth it. Now, as a girl dad, for me, and we also do have a weight discrepancy in our house. We have a 14-year-old and a 7-year-old, which is 14 and 6, She's gonna be 7 soon, but like that's not a fair fight in any aspect. That's just not fair. So there's no fighting allowed at all in our house because dude, I will hear it. So I'm in the other room and I just hear like a smack and just starts crying. I'm like, you son of a bitch! Why did you have to hit her?
Yeah, I think the next 3 or 4 years is gonna be really rough for you. Because that's a young age against an age that's easily annoyed and doesn't want to be bothered. And
it's there. I think again, my oldest is very motherly. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that she's very motherly. Like she will literally get your shoes on. Like come on, we've got to go. Like literally at that point, like she is very motherly to her little sister. And so I'm like, yo, no, there's no hitting. Like, we're not hitting anybody. And I don't know. I think maybe any spankings that she gotten, and they were pretty minimal. And I think she's now like, well, she's got to get more. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
she's not as a terror like you were.
We have with what happened the other day, but even before that, the standing rule is no shots to the face. So if you're throwing, we're sticking with the torso.
I can tell you,
we don't need any black eyes.
No throat shots, please. Jesus.
Yeah,
we'll not let one loose on that one. They need to not do that one. No throat shots.
That was ill-advised. But
dude,
it happens in the heat of battle.
It would be so funny, like me and my brother fighting. And again, it got a little more rough whenever we were getting upper in ages and stuff, where my dad's just kind of sitting on the couch. He's not jumping in on this. And then my mom's like telling my dad, "Come on, go break that up. What that stop now?" Like she's screaming at us to stop. My poor dear, my dear mother having to deal with us animals. So, no, I think that was funny because it brings me back to like
concerned you break the furniture and stuff.
I don't know. It was just we were really gonna hurt each other. I think that's really what it was. The furniture was not as big of a. It was just really we were gonna put holes in walls. We were gonna somebody was gonna get seriously injured, and it was most likely gonna be me. So, all right. Well, I appreciate you jumping on. Man. I appreciate it, and we'll try to get another one. I don't know. I think I'm gonna need a new co-host here soon. Looks like I don't know. Jacob's just not into it, so I think I'm gonna stop.
Well, you're about to get into TCU football season, so
it's year round with this shit. And then we're gonna get into baseball season, and we're gonna get into soccer and fucking.
That's Ray. Ray is women's soccer.
We're gonna get into archery, and I'm like, I don't no one cares enough about that about TCU. I hope this trend is not stopped. You know that, right? I was feeling like this was gonna be a trend or like a phase.
It's more of a lifestyle now.
Jacob is full on TCU, and whatever I'm talking about is just not that important, but he wants to talk about the new shortstop that they got and the returning bullpen. I don't know what they talk about, so I don't know the stupid shit that they talk about. So, well, it is what it is. So I appreciate it. We'll see you next time.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, man.
Appreciate it.
Talk to you later.